We are live.
Master.
I'm your host and moderator, Ruma Mandal, Education Assistant of the Park. Thanking you all for taking the International Red Panda Day is celebrated every year to spread awareness among people about this unique, endangered, and invasive species and how the West Bengal Forest Department, the Central Zoo Authority, the West Bengal Zoo Authority, and the International arranging a small webinar session. Today we have with us some important dignitaries, Dr. Sanjay Shukla, Secretary West Bengal Zoo Authority, Mr. Yanu Verman from Netherlands, Mr. Sonam Tashi Lama from Nepal, and the director of our zoo, Dr. Basavaraj S. Holiarji. So without further ado, I'd like to request Mr. Saurav Chaudhary, the Honorable Member Secretary of West Bengal Zoo Authority,
There are some issues with my network. Am I visible and audible now?
You're audible, but there is some issue with the video, so no issues. Please carry on.
Sir, so there's some it's a power cut in my office suddenly. It never happens in Kolkata. It happened now. But anyway, sir. Hello, good morning, everyone. And it's indeed our pleasure of having so many dignitaries together for a noble cause. And the noble cause is the conservation breeding and release back to nature of red panda, a scheduled one animal, which you all know is found in the Himalayas. Today we have a presence of a lot of dignitaries. I welcome Sir Dr. Sanjay Shukla, our CZM Member Secretary.
Thank you so
We
much.
welcome Sri Yanu Verman. In India, we don't say Mr. We will address you as Sri. It's equivalent to Mr. with a lot of further respect added to it. I welcome Yanu in our webinar. I welcome Sri Sonam Tasi Lama from Nepal as well in our webinar. And see, basically, Darjeeling Zoo has been associated with this program internationally and nationally from 1990s. The first release of Red Panda happened in 2003-2004. The successful release of Red Panda were bred in captivity and then were released in wild very successfully. The founder stock that was improved on a regular basis. We have got a lot of additions in the founder stock from different individuals from different zoos across the world. And we have received scientific inputs from CZA. We have received scientific inputs from Rotterdam Zoo and many other zoos of the world. And after a lot of initiation, lot of deliberation, the program started and the program is running successfully. As sir, you also know, this year we successfully released 4 individuals in the nature and 2 of them were trekked back to Nepal and they are happily coming back to India and roaming around in Nepal. So their after release, their movement, their natural migration, everything we are recording. So this year, sir, we have a proposal of releasing 3 to 5 individuals, which will be young. And unlike last year, what we have planned, we are concentrating on individuals only, so that they form pair when they release back in nature. We are engaging research scholars and they are doing very good work in this. And we have received a lot of guidance from CZA. We are sharing all the research information with CZA and all other international zoos and organizations from where we have got a lot of technical help. We have got a lot of help from some scientific institutions in India like CCM Hyderabad and IISER Kolkata, who are helping us with the genetic study and the guide microbes and the dietary inputs. A lot of additions are regularly happening in Red Panda study. Like this year, we are taking into consideration the seasonal availability of berry and other insect grub or say bird eggs and the young shoots of bamboos when this pandas will be released. So we are studying that in details in our soft release center, so that the seasonal release of red panda may so happen in future as well. We don't concentrate in the month. We don't concentrate. We can concentrate on season as well in while releasing the red panda. And there was a decision taken in our forest directorate, and that we have conveyed to CZA as well. That initially, sir, will be concentrating on Singarla National Park. And once that pocket gets sufficiently populated with red panda, sir, and their natural movement, etc., we record, then we are going to the next protected area network, that is the Nevada Valley National Park. So hopefully, sir, by next 5 to 6, 25 plus red panda back in nature in Singular National Park, then we'll do the same study in Nevada Valley National Park. So not going into details, I welcome all the dignitaries again, and we are all eagerly waiting to hear from you. And it's an international program. It's a pride of our nation. It's pride of our state as well. West Bengal is the only state in India where we have got red panda in the top and the Royal Bengal tiger in the Sundarban at the bottom. So both the species are equally important to us. And red panda is a flagship species of Darjeeling Zoo. And sir, we are very happy that Darjeeling has been ranked as the best zoo in the country. We are very happy and we express our gratitude, sir. We need your technical help and regular inputs on further improvement in Darjeeling Zoo management. And without any further delay, I again welcome you and let us, sir, if you permit, we can start our technical session now.
Thank you, sir. So we can move ahead with the other deliberations, please. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I would request Anno to deliver his talk on GSMP and international collaboration in red panda conservation. Anno, can you hear?
Yeah, I can hear. Yes.
Yeah. Kindly deliver a talk on GSMP and international collaboration.
I will. Good morning, everybody. An honor having me and talk about the GSMP of red pandas. I will share my screen. I've got some slides on there just to give some insight in what a GSMP is and what it does. So I will share my screen. Hope it is visible to everybody. So. Is it visible for everybody now?
Yes, it's visible.
Yeah, okay. All right. I will just shortly want to explain the role of a GSMP in international collaboration in conservation of red panda. The international stud book for red pandas started in the early 70s by my colleague Angela Gladstone, and she did a lot of good work on red pandas. In the beginning, it was mainly focused on housing red pandas in a captive environment. And later on, the breeding program started because everybody saw coming that nature in general was not doing that well. So we had to do something to have some backup populations if things in nature became worse. and we are very happy it turned out to be a GSMP, because if you look at conservation breeding can really benefit. Actually, the breeding populations have viable populations that can benefit in-situ conservation. It's something that doesn't work. Captive population that support demographic and genetic backup of wild population. That's happened in what my colleague just mentioned. The beginning of the year, red pandas are reintroduced back to the wild in Singalila National Park. That was a great step forward, I think, thanks to the Indian government and Darjeeling Zoo. Animals in zoos also provide public education. It's very important to raise awareness of the threats red pandas in, and to give education of what the local community can do. It's also very important the population can be used for research, and that research can be the information from that research can be used in the in-situ situation. And awareness opportunities as ambassador animals is very important, because a lot of people do not know what red pandas are, and if you do not know what a red panda is, you cannot protect it. So it's very important to provide awareness. Now, what is a global species management plan? It was born out of concern about the long-term sustainability of wild animal populations, especially in the beginning in the 70s. Animals were kept in zoo environment with no strategy, and it's very important to have a population that is genetically very solid, because if you want to reintroduce them back to the wild, you need very healthy animals. So ex-situ populations, and ex-situ means populations in a captive environment, have to be demographically robust and genetically representative of wild counterparts. Many species will be able to sustain these characteristics when they are cooperatively managed. If you only got a small population, for example, in the Netherlands, that will never be sustainable. So it's very important to have a lot of zoos in a lot of countries and regions working together. And that's why we are so happy that also India is on board with the GSMP, with a lot of valuable genetic material. So we got a population in captivity of around 800 animals at the moment. So that's quite a big population that can be used for research and augmentation of populations if necessary. If you look at international collaboration of GSMP, you see all kinds of pictograms over here. So we got it at 8 organizations working together. Most are regional zoo associations, but you also see Red Panda Network. My colleague Sonam is going to tell something about the good work Red Panda Network is doing. And that's more in-situ organization, and the other ones are all ex-situ organizations. So it's quite a big collaboration with zoos and regional associations. As a GSMP, we've got direct conservation and indirect conservation. And if you look at indirect conservation, education and raising awareness is very important. What I told earlier, you first have to love an animal before you can conserve and protect it. So it's very important for the zoo world to have education and raise awareness of a threatened species. And it can be done on social media nowadays, or with signs in the natural habitat, or with signs in the zoo. So it's very important to give education and raise awareness. Another indirect conservation role we do as a GSMP is financial support to in-situ organizations like Red Panda Network. As you can see on the picture over here, a lot of zoos donate a lot of money to, for example, Red Panda Network, that really conserves the red panda, especially in Nepal and Bhutan. And as you can see, we raised almost $1 million. So that's quite a lot. So together we can certainly make a difference. Another indirect conservation role is to help out with technical scientific support and expertise. In a zoo environment, it's easier to do scientific research than in the wild. In the wild, you've got with all different kind of with the weather, with if you want to catch animals, it's difficult. And in a zoo environment, it's easier. And that experience we have in zoos, we can just help out our conservation partners in the wild. And an example of this was the camera trapping survey in eastern Nepal. If you look at technical support, we also can test certain things in a captive environment. If you look at GPS research that's been done, the GPS collars are first tested in Rotterdam Zoo because GPS collars were never used before in red pandas. So we want to test if they were acceptable for the red panda, if the behavior didn't change, and if they didn't get physical wounds and stuff like that. And we saw some difficulties with the collars. As you can see on the pictures, a small wound over there. So we adjusted the collar design, and after adjusting the collar design, the collars could be used in a in-situ setting in the wild. Another one is technical support. For example, the GPS research that's being done in Nepal. That was also a collaboration of different parties that were very important to correctly do the research. And as you can see over here, the Queen's University did this part, Rotterdam Zoo, Red Panda Network, and the government of Nepal. And together we really can make a difference. So I think it's very important also for GSMP to participate in research. Then we got direct conservation. If you want to augment populations or reintroduce animals to certain areas, it's important to have a demographic population that's genetically healthy, but also behavioral healthy. So it's important to manage that population in a very sound manner. And that's what we do as a GSMP, and that costs a lot of time. It's sometimes also difficult if you want to have a genetic good populations, you have to move them around as well. And so, and transporting animals, for example, Europe to India or from India to America, it's sometimes quite difficult, especially with the paperwork. But we all see the importance of that to keep a genetically healthy population. So I'm very proud that all zoos involved are very willing to help out and do their utmost best to make it a success. Now, and I think the thing that's what a GSMP wants and what's great news is the Red Panda augmentation program in Singalila National Park and Leora Valley later on. And we are very proud that the GSMP can provide animals, and in this case, Darjeeling Zoo. So we are very proud to have a partner like Darjeeling Zoo. And it's a result of national and international collaboration. Of course, the biggest part, the majority of all the work has been done in India, but we are proud as a GSMP that we could have some animals that could be augmented to the population, and that I think the biggest role of a GSMP in the modern time. I think that was the information I want to share with you, and especially looking back, it's very important that we have zoos and that zoos are getting modern and the housing of the animals is getting better and we get better understanding of animals, and we really can help conservation a step forward with helping them out with animals and doing research. So I'm very proud to work together with Darjeeling Zoo and the Central Zoo Authority. So thank you very much for having me, and it was an honor, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Yanu sir, for your valuable time. As Mr. Yanu has meeting to attend, so we would like to thank him for his valuable time. And so now we move on to our next speaker, Mr. Sonam Tashi Lama from Red Panda Network, Nepal. So Mr. Nama has been with Red Panda Network since the beginning. He is now implementing conservation programs throughout Red Panda range in Nepal. He is the recipient of several prestigious scholarships and awards. Recently, he received the prestigious Whitney Award for his work in conserving red pandas. He will speak to us today on strategies, status, and challenges in red panda conservation in wild. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Ruba. Hello, everyone. Greetings from Nepal and the Red Panda Network family. And I wish you all a very happy International Red Panda Day, which falls tomorrow. Now I'm in the field, so I'll just stop my video. So yes, and it's a pleasure to be here today. I'm Sonam Tasilama from the Red Panda Network, an organization dedicated to conserving wild red pandas and their habitat through community-based education and empowerment of rural communities. The title of today's presentation is Status, Challenges, and Strategies in Red Panda Conservation, which will give you the general overview of why it is important to conserve wild red pandas and what are the prevalent threats to their survival. And lastly, what are the strategies and programs Red Panda Network is implementing in Nepal to secure a viable and thriving population of red pandas in the wild. So this is the outline of today's presentation. First of all, I will talk about why it is called cross panda. Then I will explain why it's unique, important, and endangered, and the threats to their survival. Then about our strategies to tackle those challenges in local, regional, and global scale. In this picture, we see the well-known black and white giant panda. Despite sharing the name, red pandas are not related to giant pandas. A French zoologist, Frederick Cuvier, first discovered the red panda in 1825, 48 years before the giant panda was catalogued. Red pandas are the last remaining species in their own distinct scientific family Aluridae, hence the red pandas are the first pandas. Red pandas are unique, important, and endangered species. As I mentioned before, red pandas are the original pandas and the only living member of their taxonomic family, making them a living relic of the past. They are also a carnivore that has adapted to eating mostly plants, specifically bamboo. Red panda was originally thought to be one species, but new genetic information has recently found that there are actually two species, the Himalayan red panda and the Chinese red panda. Red pandas are a flagship species and an important indicator of the eastern Himalaya. Uh, the eastern Himalaya offers a home to a wide range of endangered fauna and flora and has been identified by WWF as a priority ecoregion of global conservation, and it is a global biodiversity hotspot. They are also, the red pandas are also an umbrella species. Protecting them will protect the other animals who share their habitat. Red pandas play a critical role in conservation of western Himalaya tropical forest. The IUCN lists red pandas as endangered and believes that the population has declined by 50% over the past 3 generations. 6 years is equal to one generation in the wild. It is estimated that there are less than 10,000 red pandas in the wild. Sadly, our planet has already lost half of its wild red pandas in 20 years. They are nearly extinct in their western range. In this map, you can see the red panda habitat throughout Nepal, which is scattered in more than 400 different small patches. In 2016, we did a national status survey in Nepal to know about the status of red panda and their habitat. And it came to know that the red panda range areas, the habitat in Nepal have been fragmented into more than 200 different patches. That's why the fragments of habitat is the major threat for red panda in Nepal. To successfully save red panda, we must address what is threatening their survival. Prevalence of these threats would be determined by the site. So understanding threats to red panda in different areas of the country is paramount. In Nepal, deforestation and poaching are the most pressing anthropogenic threats to red panda conservation. Human population growth and infrastructure development activities are causing habitat loss, degradation, and fragmentation. Forest fires, the traditional transhuman system of livestock herding, firewood collection, bamboo and non-timber forest production, and slash and burn agriculture are important underlying contributors to the habitat loss and degradation of Himalayan region. In Nepal, poaching and illegal trade of red pandas is on the rise. In 2019, you can see on the graph, 15 fells of red pandas were reportedly confiscated by the enforcement agencies. And in 2020, 7 pelts, but in 2021, this rose sharply to 37 red panda pelts, which is greater than the previous years. The humans are the real threat for the survival of red pandas. Nepal has witnessed illegal trade of red panda pelts since 2008, and the number of illegal trades of red panda pelts is increasing every year. On average, more than 10 red pandas pelts were confiscated by Nepal police in the illegal market, despite there is no real market and demand for the pelts of this beautiful and endangered wildlife. So, with the latest data of 2021, in every 10 days, we are losing 1 red pandas by poaching. And in this photo, you can see a dog whose name is Bimala Mokhtan. And in 2007, when Red Panda Network initiated its community-based Red Panda conservation in Eastern Nepal, we started a program called Forest Guardians. And the forest guardians are the guards of the forest. They are the monitor of red pandas, and they protect the red pandas. And this lady who works in the Panchta district of Eastern Nepal, which is also adjoined to the Singalila National Park, and she works there to monitor the red panda. So we have more than 100 red panda monitors like Bimala throughout the Nepal, and this has been very fundamental personalities to save red pandas in Nepal. In 2018, RPN provided key support to the government of Nepal to develop 5 years Red Panda Conservation Action Plan, in which is the first Red Panda Conservation Action Plan for the world, throughout the Red Panda countries. And we also provided support to the government of Bhutan in 2019 to develop a Red Panda Conservation Action Plan. And all the field activities that Red Panda Network is implementing in the field is run by this Red Panda Conservation Action Plan of government. And as Anu mentioned in the previous presentation, we also collaborate with Rotary Zoo and the government of Nepal, Ministry of Forests, to monitor red pandas with the GPS collars. We GPS collar 10 red pandas in the wild in Ilam district, which is just adjacent to the Singalila National Park. And our red pandas were also visiting to the Singalila National Park and back and forth. And the recently released red pandas from the Darjeeling Zoo are also traveling to Nepal. And we also provided support. Our forest guardians like Bimala provided support to monitor the red pandas that were released by Darjeeling Zoo. And I was in close contact with Rohini Madam for that one. And with the support from the Rotary Zoo, and Yanu was also here in Nepal to support technically, and we are very thankful to the Rotary Zoo for this one. And we have been able to know many ecological aspects of red pandas conservation, so that are very helpful in devising red panda conservation actions in the field. So in this photo, you can see see a landscape that it is also just adjacent to the single national park. It's called Jaubari village in Ilam district, and the area has been barren or fragmented for more than 170 years. And on the other side of India, the forest is well protected, and it's very pristine, and it's home to endangered wildlife like red pandas and clouded leopards. But sadly, our part is very fragmented, so we have been restoring the area since 2015, and we have already restored more than 200 hectares area in that site. And this is the photo of last June, July, where we have planted 60,000 saplings of native species, and you can see a tree nursery there. And the ponds are man-made because we need the water the dry season of the year. So we made some 12 water conservation ponds to irrigate the plants in during the dry season. So collaboration with the Indian authority and the zoo and the single land national park is very crucial for connecting the corridor between two important habitat. So that's why we are trying to restore these areas, and we also seek support from the Indian counterpart like single land national park. And in these photos, you can see some of the local people from the Zawari village, uh, and in our restoration programs have been able to provide create green jobs for the local people during their unemployed season in June July. So, and we have restoration gardens from that village. Most of them are women, and they have been able to make some funds, some money for children to go to school. And we are very proud to these ladies and gentlemen. They have been very crucial to restore that area. So, so it's very important to collaborate and cooperate between not only between the two countries, all the stakeholders. So Red Panda Network always seeks support, collaboration, and in any terms, any terms, technical, any means. So with the support from all the stakeholders, we can definitely save the last of the first panda. And I'd like to thank Darjeeling Zoo for providing this, creating this platform, and providing Red Panda Network this opportunity to share our work. Yeah, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir, for giving such a detailed presentation on the topic. So now, in presence of esteemed participants and our chief guests, Member Secretary, Central Zoo Authority and West Bengal Zoo Authority will launch a short movie called Back to the Wild on Red Panda Augmentation Program.
The red panda is an endangered species of the Himalayan region. They are categorized as Schedule 1 animal as per the Wildlife Protection Act 1972. In India, red pandas are found in the state of West Bengal, Sikkim, and the northeastern states of Arunachal Pradesh and Meghalaya. In West Bengal, they are found in the Singalila National Park and Neora Valley National Park. Their population is declining due to habitat destruction and predation by feral dogs. Padmaja Naidu Himalayan Zoological Park, in collaboration with Wildlife Wing, has taken up the program for conservation breeding of red panda, as well as restocking of these species in the wild habitat of Singalila National Park to strengthen the wild population through release of genetically, biologically and behaviorally viable zoo-bred red panda in the wild, which will help long-term conservation of these species. PN8Z Park has two display breeding centers, that is, Topke Dara and the Old Conservation Breeding Center, which specifically house red pandas and snow leopards. The breeding centers are located away from the town to provide undisturbed environment to facilitate breeding. Selected individuals from the captive stock were shifted to Top Kedara for over a year. Selection of animals is a very crucial process. Currently, the park houses a total of 27 genetically healthy red pandas.
Dr. Joydeep, looking after health and breeding of red pandas in Darjeeling Zoo. A very good record of breeding pandas, and we've been very successful in that.
Noel, Shifu, Smile, and Yeshe have been put through several behavioral interventions and rigorous monitoring to encourage their natural behavior, including anti-human and anti-predator behavioral competence during the last 2 years. The diet of all these 4 animals has been modified to reflect their natural diet in the wild.
In conservation breeding program, selection of individuals is extremely important. In this case, we selected individual pair based on their genetic relatedness and their stud book data. The genetic analysis of these individuals was done at GSMP Hyderabad, and stud book was done in consultation of international experts. For tracking of red pandas in the wild, selection of right collars is very crucial. Since the weight of red panda is around 5 kilograms, we need a very light collar. In this project, we have selected the litter track iridium collars, which has multiple advanced features and is very compact. It is around 200 grams of weight, and it has a foam which fits very comfortably in the neck of red pandas. It has GPS transmitter, wherein it sends GPS location via iridium satellite system. It has a looped antenna through which we can track the animal in the field using very high frequency antennas. And it has a compact battery which lasts for 70 weeks. It has a drop-off device. Once the battery life is over, the collar drops off. It has an advanced feature of mortality function, wherein if the animal dies, it gives the signal. And it has also feature of geofencing, wherein we can preset the GPS locations, and if the animal crosses through that GPS location, it gives signal. In this project, we have preset Indo-Nepal border as geofence.
Noel, Shifu, Smile, and Yeshe have of late become very dear to the zookeepers and staff of Padmaja Naidu Himalayan Zoological Park. They will soon be going to the wild, and the feeling of separation has made everyone's heart heavy.
सर इतने दिन से हम लोग 3 साल से काम कर रहे हैं और ये वाइल्ड में छोड़ने में दुख तो लग रहा है, लेकिन इनका नेचुरल हैबिटेट जो अपने होम में घर में जा रहा है, इसे खुशी भी लग रहा है कि अपना नेचुरल हैबिटेट जा रहा है.
On the early morning of 15 January 2021, all PNHZ Park staff, particularly zookeeper Ranjit and other members, accompanied the 4 red pandas to their journey to their freedom and to procreate, to keep their species surviving and thriving in Singalila National Park. SNP is located at a height of 2,500 to 3,600 meters. It is an ideal habitat for red panda in the lap of the Himalayas, protected by sentinels of the forest. 1.5 hectare area on the slope will be the temporary home for Noel, Shifu, Smile, and Yeshe. The soft release facility has withstood the test of time and was first constructed in 2002 during the first planned augmentation program. The facility was again modified in 2019 for Back to the Wild Red Panda augmentation program.
Darjeeling Zoo has put extensive efforts in this. We have placed 4 researchers here who will be monitoring 24 hours the animals.
2 junior research fellows and 2 field assistants will be there for 1.5 years and will continuously monitor the movement of Noel, Shifu, Smile, and Yeshe. The technologically advanced collars will assist them in locating the animals in the forest. The release took place at 12:30 p.m. The first pair, Shifu and Smile, were chosen to be freed from the wooden crate. Noel and Yeshe were next to be released. The soft release facility will be the home for all the 4 pandas for another 6 weeks till they acclimatize to the climate and shift to the natural diet. Thereafter, they will be allowed to merge in the wilderness to chart their own territory and add to their species by bringing fresh blood to Singalila National Park. 2 pairs of red panda were finally released into the wild in the presence of the member secretary, Central Zoo Authority, CZA, Dr. Sanjay Shukla, IFS, on 26/03/2022.
I think it is a good episode today, and hopefully this will add to the conservation in the wild. So the purpose with which this conservation being is done. Sir. So you are doing for 2 species. Sir. And out of these 2 red panda, after a quite long gap, so we have been doing this, and hopefully they will add to the population in the wild and augment the population. Good. Monitoring of the animals will be done through satellite, through VHF antennas, and through the staff of the territorial teams. This is a joint effort with the Darjeeling Zoo and Darjeeling Wildlife Division. I am extremely hopeful that our efforts will bring them breeding in the wild, and this augmentation will be a huge success.
So that was such a wonderful journey. And this is the second time that the park has augmented red pandas in wild. And so far and so on, we're going towards success in this. So our next speaker is the director of Padmaja Naidu Himalayan Zoological Park, Darjeeling, Dr. Basavaraj S. Holiaji. He will be talking on the ex-situ and in-situ linkage for red panda conservation. So over to you, sir.
It's visible, audible?
Yes, sir.
So I'll speak a little bit on ex-situ, ex-situ and in-situ linkage of red panda, and most of the things are covered in the short movie. So, like a little bit introduction about the zoo. It was established in 1958, and it is a pioneer species in conservation breeding of endangered species. We have 3 conservation breeding centers: Old Conservation Breeding Center established way back in 80s, then Satellite Zoo and Conservation Breeding for herbivore and pheasants, and Conservation Breeding Center for red panda and snow leopard at Topkedara. So CJD has mandated us as a coordinating and participating zoo for 5 species as coordinating zoo and 5 species as participating zoo. And we have been doing quite successful in many of these species. And on our own also the few species like goral and pheasants, we are taking up conservation breeding program. So this is the aerial view of Topkedara Conservation Breeding Center for red panda and snow leopard. You can appreciate that it is set in a very naturalistic environment, so that like the conservation breeding and the animals thrive well without any disturbance from outside. So importance of ex-situ, like even though the real conservation is at their natural habitat, but still there are instances where in-situ conservation is insufficient by themselves to halt decline in species. In those cases, ex-situ conservation measures are required to address the threat of extinction. So ex-situ, it will also add to the knowledge in various aspects of the species, and this also in turn helps in develop strategies, protocols, and intervention measures for which will help in in-situ conservation. So like what we call this linkage can be called as complementary conservation, so that ex-situ material can be used as source for population enhancement and add to the genetic diversity. And also many times when there is serious inbreeding depression, so introduction of few individuals can overcome inbreeding depression and can restore new genetic equilibrium in the population, which is required. So with respect to red panda conservation breeding program of our zoo, it started in 1992 by 82 to 90, where we got 4 individuals from wild, And then we took restocking of the population in the Singalila National Park in 2003, wherein 2 females were released and one of them gave birth to a cub. And since 94, 76 red panda births have happened in the zoo. And we are sharing our animals with various national and international zoos. So regarding Red Panda Augmentation Program, so this is a collaborative work between the zoo and wildlife wing. So we will be restocking the animals in Singalila and Neora Valley. And Singalila, there in the last estimate, there are 38 individuals, and in Neora 32, which is small compared to the area. And so we need this kind of augmentation and also mitigate the threats, improve the natural habitat in those places, and also develop expertise. So these are the 4 individuals as it was explained in the movie. So these were the individuals are selected based on genetic studies at CCMB and in collaboration with GSMP for pedigree analysis. And animals were selected based on relatedness and heterozygosity. And this is a collar which is very light and has advanced features which has battery life of 70 weeks with 1 pixel per day. So these are fitted on red pandas for their proper monitoring and tracking. So this is a soft release facility, and similar soft release facility we'll be planning in Neora Valley. As our member secretary said in the beginning, initially we are concentrating on Singalila National Park, and then when it is sufficiently restocked, we will be shifting to Neora Valley. So before releasing, we did interventions for behavioral competency and feed, and also induced anti-predator and human-associated threats, so that the animals will be well aware about the threats which are there in the wild, and accordingly will adopt. And these kind of interventions helped in developing foraging and vigilance among the animals, which is required for their proper survival in the wild. So this is a Back to the Wild program where first the pandas were released in soft release facility, and final release was done on 26th March in presence of Member Secretary Central Zoo Authority. And this year we are planning release another 3 animals, and later in subsequent years also we will be planning 3 to 5 animals release every year. So animals do not have boundaries. So as Sonam explained, many of our animals, like the soft release facility is very close to Indo-Nepal border, and many of these animals go into the Nepal area. So in that, like we, with help of Red Panda network team, who are very helpful, and they track and give us the information about the location and condition of the animal. So this helps us in proper tracking of the animals across the border with help of Red Panda network. And since both the countries we are using the same collar systems, so monitoring and tracking of these animals is taking place very smoothly. So with this, I will, and also we need to acquire red pandas from international zoos because we have to continuously enrich the genetic diversity. For that, we are getting animals from Rotterdam Zoo, Australian zoos, so that we continuously enrich the genetic diversity among the founder population within the zoo, so that when they are released into the wild, they add to the genetic diversity of the population in the wild. So also, like, we are taking outreach programs on eve of Red Panda Day. Our researchers are going to various schools in Darjeeling and educate young students about Red Panda conservation, so that when they grow up, they become volunteers and will take up conservation of red pandas. So with this, I end saying that no amount of human ingenuity can bring back a lost species. We have to conserve them when they are there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for such a descriptive presentation on this topic. So, sir, the last speaker of today's session is Dr. Sanjay Shukla, the Honorable Member Secretary of Central Zoo Authority. He will speak to us today on the way forward for conservation breeding programs in India with special focus on red panda. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Ruma. I'm a part of the celebration today. So firstly, I wish you all a very, very happy Red Panda Day, and a good way to celebrate, to generate the awareness among like you, like Vasavraj in his presentation. The last slide was to catch them young, means we need to generate awareness among the young minds first. And the role of community is very, very important when we talk of conserving any species. So you all have been doing excellent work. And I must congratulate team of Padmaja Naidu Himalayan Zoological Park, and a very good leader as Saurabh, member secretary, State Zoo Authority. So you all have been doing a very good work, and that's why in the first of this management effectiveness evaluation, in the medium category zoo, your zoo ranked first. So I congratulate you all for this good work. Now coming to the red panda conservation, probably this is the only species out of all the priority species on which we are focusing for the conservation breeding. So this is the species where you are having the regional and international collaboration. And I must congratulate and compliment the two other previous speakers, Jano from Global Species Management Plan, and also Sonam from Red Panda Network. So with their support, I think the Red Panda have a very, very bright future, because like what Sonam in his presentation, he showed like how the population has declined in the last 20 years. It has come down close to almost 50% in the wild. So doing conservation breeding ex-situ, this is one thing, and linking it with in-situ conservation efforts is very, very important. So looking to the cause of decline in the population, it is all happening with all the major species. We have in our country, we have so much of diversity when we are to talk of different geographical zones, and have a lot of wealth in the form of flora and fauna. But all are mostly under tremendous pressure because of the anthropogenic reasons. And for the red panda also, the major reason of decline is the deforestation. And like it was shown in the presentation by Sonam, the feral dogs. So, and again, has a very, very specific dietary requirement, like it feeds 98% on the bamboo only. So we need to have a good bamboo forest. We need to preserve the bamboo forest. We need to preserve the habitat. So I compliment you all for doing wonderful work. Now coming to the other species where we have been doing good is not exactly in the ex-situ, but in-situ. There have been a lot of efforts earlier, and we have done quite well in India. So talking to one species which we lost almost 70 years back when it was declared like it has become extinct in our country. And the last record which of the animal which was shot in 47 was cheetah. And we are lucky to have it again moving around in our country. So less than in 20 hours, the first batch of cheetah would be arriving in the Puno Palpur National Park in the land of Madhya Pradesh. So tomorrow morning, they would be reaching in India, then from the Namibia to, earlier they were supposed to reach Jaipur, but probably they have been reaching Gwalior, and from there they would be again flown to Palpur Kuno. So this is one thing, but we have to look into it also, like we lose this iconic species, and we lost Asian cheetah, and now we are getting African cheetah. So this is one thing also for introspection. In Madhya Pradesh, we did one very good work in conserving one species. And I was privileged to be a part of that conservation effort, that is hard-horned Barasingha. And in Kanha National Park in 70s, we just have close to 60 individuals of that particular species. But incidentally, that time, there was one study done by Dr. Claude Martin. He was a student of Zurich University, and he was doing his PhD work in Kanha Tiger Reserve. And the topic of his study was the status and ecology of Barasingha. So that study related with and complemented with the works conservation breeding by the then director, legendary Mr. H.S. Pawar. So now we have close to 800 or 800 plus population in the wild, and we have now reintroduced them to another home, that is in the Satpura Tiger Reserve. So what I mean to say is our efforts in the ex-situ conservation have to be linked with the in-situ conservation efforts. Like IUCN also talks of this one plan approach. So we need to look into that. So now coming to the, I have got a small presentation also, but just because maybe repetitive, so I may be skipping some of the slides also. So I'll just take a moment to share my presentation. Is it visible?
Yes, sir. It's visible.
Yes, sir. Visible, sir.
Yes. So now this is just for the information of all those who are not much aware about the Central Zoo Authority. So this is a statutory body that was constituted as per the provision of the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. And all the zoo which are recognized in the country, they are the recognition is given by this authority only as per the provisions of the Wildlife Protection Act 1972. And presently there are 147 recognized zoos in the country. Now, normally when we talk of zoo, mostly people relate it only with the exhibit of animals kept in the enclosures. But we have functions much beyond that, not only creating zoo with the enclosure facility for visitors. So the functions which you can see here, we also create a legal framework through policy level decisions and facilitate zoo. And we regulate them with what should be the proper enclosure design, what should be the minimum size of the enclosure for different species, and what the animals should they have in their zoo. And the collection plan is also approved by the Central Zoo Authority. The next to conservation of threatened Indian wildlife, promote conservation awareness and outreach, and develop science-based protocol for captive management of wild animals in Indian zoos. So these are things, and one of the important function of CZD is also to do this ex-situ conservation of threatened Indian wildlife. And Red Panda is also one of the successful efforts done by the Darjeeling Zoo under the umbrella of these provisions only. So I'm not going into the detail of the conservation-oriented captive breeding and what all it details, because this has already been covered by Yano in his presentation. So now coming to the conservation breeding program of CZA. So this was conceptualized between 2000 to 2005. So in consultation with the different species experts and looking to the threat status of the species, suitability of zoos which can undertake the breeding program and which are close to the natural environment, natural habitat. So this is how it all started between 2000 and 2005. And most of the programs that were initiated between 2006 to 2010. Padmaja Naidu Himalayan Zoological Park had been doing the conservation breeding program for quite some time. Like Vasaf Raj in his presentation, he showed like it started in a with founder population being taken from wild. And then they had international collaboration with the global species management plan and with the Red Panda network. So that is a great initiative, having their own efforts complemented with the global partners. I'm also skipping this slide, already been talked by Yano. So for the conservation breeding, Central Zoo Authority has identified 75 species for the plant conservation breeding. And for this, for more than 25 species, the efforts have already been started. And most of these are in the off-display conservation breeding areas in different zoos. And we do have zoo in two categories like coordinating and participating zoos. So coordinating zoo are the zoo which develop the founder population, and they have the off-display facility in near natural habitat. And participating zoo, now their responsibility is to house backup population and support the conservation breeding program. Panda, Padmaja Naidu Himalayan Zoological Park is the coordinating zoo. And Pandit Govind Ballabh Pant, this is high altitude zoo in Nainital, and Himalayan Zoological Park in Sikkim are the participating zoo. So out of these two participating zoo, presently we have the Red Panda only in the Govind Ballabh Pant zoo in Nainital. So looking to the different species which we have been taken, there are mostly mammals. They are close to, there are 46 mammal species and 24 bird species, 3 reptiles and 1 amphibians, which Basab Raj also told in his presentation. So the newt, Himalayan newt. So the goal is to, when we talk of it globally, so 250 properly bred and physically, genetically, and behaviorally healthy individual of each targeted species in the world, and of which at least 100 must be in India. So this is our goal to maintain a good, healthy population in the captivity. So already covered in detail about the Red Panda CV program. So I'm just skipping these slides. So now what is the way ahead? Like Yano, Sonam, and Basav Raja, they all told about not only about the breeding in captivity, with all scientific interventions, maintaining a stud book, and to maintain the good genetic diversity and have broader genetic base. And post-release also to have a GPS telemetry for monitoring them. And before release, the behavioral changes which are expected before we release them in wild has also to be taken care of. So the Padmaja Naidu Himalayan Zoological Park has all been doing this very, very well, and in association with GSMP. So now, what is the way ahead exactly? So like when we talk of the latest technology and tools which can be used here, so just to overcome some of the things like which happen when we do the conservation breeding, or we have isolated population in the wild, or we do the conservation with a limited number of individuals. So in breeding depressions, they may happen. There is a lot of genetic variability. So we have to take care of that. So for that, we may go for the assisted reproduction with the different reproductive options which may have with the help of biobanking. Because when you are doing this effort with a limited number of individuals, so you always need to widen your genetic base. You need to get animals from other locations, and mostly like Padmaja Naidu is doing this to get animals from other countries. So this is one option. And another option may also be used like using modern technologies, where we can have our own genetic uh, material in the form of cryopreserved material of gametes or ova or embryo that can be maintained at in the facilities. So with the help of Laconis CCMB, so Padmaja Naidu is in the process of developing a cryobanking facility at their zoo. So this would be, I think, a great step ahead. So in the recently had National Conference of Zoo Directors, I discussed with the director, Mr. Basav Raja, and he told me like they have a proposal for setting up a facility in their zoo also. So I would like to just request the Saurabh, the member secretary, State Zoo Authority, also to look for the options if we can rope in some of the CSR fund also for getting funds for these type of facilities. Or we would also like to try from our end to see like how we roped in for such activities. It is good that international collaboration with GSMP and Panda, the Red Panda network is working very well. And collaboration with other scientific and research institutions like CCMB is in place, Wildlife Institute of India, then Indian Institute of Scientific Education and Research, Indian Veterinary Research Institute. So this all becomes very important. Now, coming to the participating zoo also, I would like to see the good population in the participating zoo also, to have a sort of a population. And exploring the possibility of reintroduction presently, like it was released in the Singalila National Park. And the proposal is to do it in the other national park like Neoral Valley National Park. So this is good, but we can also explore the possibility of the other habitats where they were found. So with this, I just end my presentation, and I congratulate again Member Secretary, State Zoo Authority, West Bengal, Basav Raja, Director, Padmaja Naidu Himalayan Zoological Park, for organizing this webinar today and giving me an opportunity. And this has tremendous opportunities for getting a very good and healthy population in the wild. So I wish you all the very best. And also the movie released by you shows the entire your effort very well. So with this, I just close my discussion here. Thank you so much. Thank you.
It was our
sir.
pleasure, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, sir, for enlightening us with your knowledge on this topic. Now we'll take the question answer session. So we have a question for our director, Dr. Basavaraj Uleyaji, sir. Sir, respected sir, from where were the founder population acquired?
Initially, since 1982 to 1990, we got animals from the wild itself, the ones which were rescued and all that. And also we got the individuals from Auckland Zoo or the Jews from abroad. And we have been continuously enriching. It's not just one set of population. Over the years, we have been continuously enriching the individuals from various other countries, Jews from the various other countries. So presently also we are in the process of getting animals from Rotterdam Zoo, Australian Zoo, and also we are in talks with GSMP. Like since Nepal and there are border areas, so some of the animals they have in Nepal facilities, that also we are planning to acquire to add to the population, and so that continuously founder population is genetically enriched all the time.
Okay. Thank you, sir, for answering the question. Sir, we'll have our next question. That is, what is the role of international stud bookkeeper in red panda conservation?
Sir, since Anno is not there, I will answer this question. So these stud books maintain all entire record about the individuals, the date of birth, their genetic diversity, pedigree. This will be very extremely helpful in conservation to know what is the parentage, and also in case of reintroduction programs. So these stud books will help us to identify the individuals which are genetically diverse, so that we don't have even in the founder population or in the conservation breeding, we don't have individuals which are closely related to each other in pairing, so that this leads to inbreeding depression. And when those individuals are released into the wild, so they won't contribute much to the population. So therefore, and since these animals are present in various zoos across the in different countries, so international stud bookkeeper, in this case Rotterdam Zoo, Anno Wirman, he takes care of that, and he provides all the information. Even if we are getting animals from Australia, he provides the information what is the genetic relatedness of those individuals, so that over entire worldwide population we know the record, so every detail about that individual. So the role of international stud bookkeeper is extremely important in this.
Thank you so much, sir. That was such a nice webinar. So we had a very informative session today, but then now we'll wrap up today's session with a small vote of thanks from our director, Dr. Basavaraj S. Holiaji. Sir, I request you to please say a couple of words regarding this webinar, sir.
So this was a short and very meaningful discussion. Since on the eve of International Red Panda Day, this provides us opportunity for outreach activity, and so that public everybody can know what we are doing in conservation breeding of red pandas globally. Also in India under Central Zoo Authority, West Bengal Zoo Authority, and Forest Department. So first of all, I take this opportunity to thank Dr. Sanjay Shukla sir. Sir is so helpful, cooperative, and for all the Jews, and especially sir has been very helpful for our Jew in supporting these conservation breeding activities. Sir, thank you, sir. You spared your valuable time to be part of this webinar. And I'm extremely thankful to Saurav Chaudhary sir. Sir, he's a more supportive person for the Jews, and it is his guidance and vision which we are striving to implement in the field. I'm extremely thankful to Saurav Chaudhary sir, Member Secretary, West Bengal Zoo Authority, and I'm thankful to Anno Wirman. So he has been coordinating among all countries for red panda conservation, and he has been extremely helpful for our conservation breeding and reintroduction program. And when we invited, he readily visited the Darjeeling Zoo in March, and also visited our soft release facilities, and also interacted with our chief wildlife warden how the future of this red panda should go. And also, like, our chief wildlife officer has also suggested to keep this program going on for a longer period of time. It's not just 1 year or 2 year affair. So Anno was very helpful in giving this roadmap and how to go about animal exchange. Thank you, Anno Verman. He left because he has to attend another meeting. And I am also extremely thankful to Sonam Tasi Lama, Red Panda Network Team Program Coordinator, Kathmandu, Nepal. So he has been doing great work in Nepal for Red Panda conservation. And also he has been helping us in our program also, whenever to track animals when they go to Nepal. I'm extremely thankful to our PCC of HOF, PCC of Wildlife and Chief Wildlife Warden, and all our senior officers in Forest Directorate and Wildlife Wing and West Bengal Zoo Authority and Central Zoo Authority, who have been supporting us. And because of all their effort, this webinar we could conduct and successfully. Thank you very much, all of them.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.